Claire?
Yes, I can see the screen. You're good.
Okay. All
Good to
right.
go.
Perfect. So before I start, I have to give all the power and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ because I would not be here without him. I always start my presentations like that. So the name of this training is Leaking the Truth. My contact information is right below it. My website is leakingthetruth.com. I got to tell you, my website is not the greatest. It's just me. I'm a one-man show. But if you want to get a hold of me, my email is bruce@leakingthetruth.com. You can also go to YouTube and look up Leaking the Truth channel, and I've got a bunch of videos and a podcast on there. And then I put the link to uh, the library for Idaho PIs. So before I start, I got to tell you, the things that I'm going to show you are not deception, they're emotion. They're only emotion, and they're driven by our limbic brain. It's limbic. Our limbic brain is our fight, flight, or freeze brain. So if somebody comes up behind you and scares you, and you jump and you can't stop from doing it. You don't want to do it, but you can't stop it. And that's what these body gestures are. They're driven by your limbic brain. So a little bit about myself. 30 years, I was a sergeant at the Manitowoc Police Department. If you've heard of Manitowoc before, we were unfortunately made famous by a Netflix series called Making of a Murder with Stephen Avery. It was my city and my county. My brother's actually on that Netflix series. In the beginning, you hear a voice go, "Do you have Stephen Avery in custody? Do you have a body?" That's my brother's voice. So I've done about 10,000, an estimated 10,000 interviews in my career over those 30 years. I was an SRO for 18 years, and in all the cases I worked. I've been involved in homicide, sexual assault, burglary cases, robbery, assaults. We have the same amount of crime in Manitowoc that any other city does. It's just on a smaller scale. I was part of ICAC, which is Internet Crimes Against Children. So I went on the internet and I hooked pedophiles and arrested pedophiles all over the country. I'm an expert witness in all five channels of communication, and we'll get to what those channels are coming up. I was a DARE officer for 25 years. I don't know if you guys have the DARE program in Idaho, but it's drug abuse resistance education. It's when uniformed police officers go into the schools. And then I think the next one is an SRO, but I was a crime prevention sergeant for 9 years. Um, Public outreach, education about how not to be a victim, Retail Financial Crime Prevention Task Force. I work with all the retailers and the businesses. I'm trained and certified in CEBTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. So it's designing the crime out of buildings or out of parks. I do mock robberies, security surveys, drugs in the workplace training, workplace violence prevention. I'm a published writer. I write for national magazines all over the country. I'm certified for CEUs for insurance adjusters. I was on court TV many times, and I'm trained in read. I'm in the process of writing a book. It's called Leaking the Truth. Imagine that. I owned a driving school for 9 years. I started a driving school and owned it for 9 years. And then the question is, like you would ask Claire, how did I get started in this? In the early 2000s, I went to a breakout session at a juvenile conference at the Wisconsin Dells, and I stumbled into a breakout session on microexpressions. Now, I never heard of a microexpression before. I didn't know what it was. I stumbled in it, and I got to tell you, it changed my life. I was so amazed at what I could tell about someone's brief fifth of a second expression that comes across their face, which is true emotion, again, driven by the limbic brain. So I came back to the police department, told everybody about it, talking about the muscles under your face, and true smile and fake smile, and all these deceptive movements or true emotion movements of the face. So I started doing studies on it and found out there's so much more. There's five channels. So I was looking at 20% of it. So I started studying it. I started taking vacation from the police department, sending myself all over the country to take classes from world-renowned people who travel the United States to do their training. In October, actually October 31st, 2005, Stephen Avery happened. If you don't know who Stephen Avery is, he's a guy that went to prison for 17 years for a rape that he didn't commit. Stephen Avery's going to prison already, but he just wasn't going for 17 years. He was a bad guy and was framed by the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office and went 17 years and was released because of DNA. Less than a year later, he lures a woman out to the junkyard that they lived in. They lived in literally in the middle of a salvage yard, and he rapes and murders this woman. So that's the whole Netflix series, Making of a Murder. There's another one out there called Convicting a Murder. Please watch it and don't believe anything that's in the documentary on Netflix because it's a story. Um,
Mm.
so anyway, I started studying it. Stephen Avery comes on the news, and I'm watching him. And the question was asked, well, Mr. Avery, was Teresa Halbach out here? He goes, yeah, she was out here, but I don't know if I'm a suspect. And he laughs. Well, the hair in the back of my neck stood up. I had just been to a homicide investigation school where they had interviewed a 50-year-old man in California who lived right next to a 7-year-old girl that was kidnapped out of her home that night. And they said, "Do you know the little girl?" She goes, "Yeah, she lives right there, but I don't know if I'm a suspect." And he was the suspect. He raped her and he killed her. So when Avery said that, it just sparked my interest. So I'm watching him, and the next question was, "Mr. Avery, there's crime scene tape around the fire pit." And he goes, "I don't know why that would happen. I hadn't had a fire for months." Now, I don't expect you guys to see what just happened, but his eye started to twitch when he said that. That is a limbic response, like someone scaring you and you're going, ah, and you can't stop it for a couple seconds. So I looked at my then wife and I said, that guy's guilty and it's got something to do with the fire pit. And that's actually where he burnt his body. So that was his reaction to that stimulus of fire pit. So then I was all in. I started going to schools all over the place and just started doing the training. So that's kind of how I got started. So let's talk about this again. Remember, it's the emotion. And our brains are wired not to lie. We're not supposed to lie. But when we do, there's a conflict between our cognitive thinking and our emotional feelings. Like our cognitive thinking of I have to lie and our emotional feelings of I'm not supposed to lie. And it causes leakage. That's where leaking the truth comes from. Okay. So these are the 5 channels. I'll go over them again, but it's micro expressions, which is a fifth of a second expression that comes across your face. It's body gestures. I'm not talking just body language. The way you tilt your head when someone's talking to you, the symmetrical or asymmetrical shoulder shrugs that you do, your torso, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your thumbs are very important. Your legs, your feet, your toes, they're all part of it. And then it's about the voice. It's the pitch, the tone, the volume, the inflection, and the flow of the voice. Then it's about the words that people choose, the verbiage that they choose. And we'll go over some of that in the next hour. And then you have the physical changes driven by your limbic brain, which we'll go over too. So those are the 5 channels of communication. And I know we're going fast, but I got a lot of stuff to get through. We probably won't get through it all. So what you need to know is about 60% of our daily conversation involves some form of deception. 60%. And it can be little stuff. You go out to eat and your burger was, okay. How is everything the waitress says? And you go, oh, it's really good. So it's just stuff like that. So 60% of our conversation involves some form of deception. So we have 3 types of lies. We have lying by fabrication, that's making stuff up. We have lying by omission, that's leaving stuff out. And we have lying by influence. That's where somebody tries to convince you that there's somebody that they're not. Like, Bruce, did you steal that money? And instead of saying yes or no, I would say, look, I got 50 Bibles in the back of my truck. I wouldn't do anything like that. Right? I never answered your question, but I'm trying to convince you that I'm some religious person. So those are the 3 types of lies. Now, people who are perceived as being deceptive are also perceived as lacking in trustworthiness, credibility, and dignity. Since there's this moral conspiracy against lying, people are reluctant to tell outright lies. So what do you think they use? What form of deception do they use the most?
Mm.
When given a choice between concealing information and fabricating information, it's much easier to conceal the information. Now, I don't know if you were on before we started, but most of the time people are going to tell you the truth and they're going to omit what they don't want you to know. And they're going to show leakage. They're going to give you signs and clues. So what's it called? Remember, it's called lying by omission. In order for an individual to fabricate or conceal information in an open narrative, that person must make a conscious, deliberate effort to do so. They have to think about it. And that's to our advantage. At the same time, the deceiver does not want to be caught in his deception. Since there's this moral conspiracy against lying, the writer's mental processes are in conflict. Remember what I told you before? Our brains are wired not to lie. And there's a conflict between our cognitive thinking of I have to lie and our emotions of I'm not supposed to lie, and it causes leakage. So it's cognitive thinking versus emotional feelings. Okay. I also need to tell you that we tell our story with all our knowledge. Again, that's to our advantage. I can't unknow what I don't want you to know. So if you ask me a question and I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm going to leave stuff out, I can't unknow what I don't want you to know. So things are going to change when I'm skipping over that portion because it's still in my brain. So detecting deception or true emotions, what clues or leakage are we talking about? Here they are again, micro expressions. Fifth of a second expression that comes across your face. And you're going to see a lot of videos coming up and a lot of sound bites. And I want you to pay attention to people's micro expressions. You're going to see a lot of them. Fifth of a second. Body gestures. Okay. Hands, head, arms, torso, legs, feet, fingers. It's all going to count. And you're going to see that in these videos. Your voice. It's the pitch, the tone, the volume, the inflection, and the flow. So, Bruce, did you steal that money? What? I didn't steal the money. Right? My pitch went way up. Or the tone changes. Like, I told you not. I told you no. Or their volume. So when I talk to people, I get a baseline volume between 1 and 5, 3 being their baseline. As they're talking to me, as they go up a little bit or they go up a little bit, I can kind of document that in my mind, thinking, why are they raising their voice? Why are they trying to convince me of things? Because there's a convince mode and there's a convey mode. We don't like convince mode. We want people to convey things to us. Or on the other side, if they're talking and all at once their voice gets lower and lower and you can't understand what they're saying and start to whisper, those are great clues for us. Those are limbic brain responses. And if I didn't tell you before, your limbic brain has 3 responses. It's fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. So when you're in trouble, those are the 3 responses that you're going to have. So we have the pitch, the tone, the volume. How about the inflection? Bruce, what'd you do last night? I was walking the dog, right? Did you hear it? I changed my tone, my pitch, I mean, and I asked that question with a question inflection. I answered your question with a question mark. It's called the question inflection. I was walking the dog instead of I was walking the dog. And then you have the flow. Now, let's just say, for instance, you say, what'd you do last night, Bruce? And I say, I was sitting on the couch watching the basketball game. I walked in the kitchen. I walked over by the refrigerator, grabbed the Pepsi, came back in living room, sat down and watched the game. I didn't leave my place all night. I gave you a great clue where I omitted the information. I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but when I walked in the kitchen, I walked over to the refrigerator. Remember, I tell my story, and so do you with all your knowledge. Something happened. I told you because I had that change of flow. I told you something happened when I walked in the kitchen. Now it could be nothing. It could have been I stepped on the cat, and I didn't think it was important to tell you that, but I knew it. Okay. Um, if I always like I always then that's my baseline, right? So the refrigerator wouldn't be nothing then. So it's about the context of what's happening. And remember, this is only emotion, right? It's not deception. It's only deception based on the context of when it happened. And I'm going to give you great information about that. So then our fourth channel is our language. So people will change their language. They'll say something about a desk, and then the next sentence they'll call it a table, right? Or they'll change their tenses. They'll say they'll start their so I'll tell you right away. People, for the most part, tell the truth in past tense and they lie in present tense. I'll say that again. They tell the truth in past tense and they lie in present tense because past tense is pulling from memory. Present tense is making it up, so it comes out present tense. So not 100% because some people, and I've caught myself doing that too, will tell the whole story in present tense. I'm driving down the road. This guy pulls up next to me and he throws, right? All present tense versus I was driving and the guy drove up next to me and threw. But I'm not switching tense. So we're listening for switching of the tenses back and forth. Pronouns, number one clue when it comes to language. Pronouns, they're so important. It's the changing pronouns, it's the missing pronouns. You're going to get great examples of that too. And then the language itself, what certain words mean below the surface. People just listen to what people are saying and it's like, this is what they said. But they've said so much more based on the words. And then our last one, we had the physical changes. So your limbic brain, when it's in trouble, shuts down your digestive system. And if you see something that's really bad, people throw up. That is a limbic brain response. It also it shuts down your saliva glands, so you get dry mouth. So when you're doing an interview, give the person a bottle of water. Start talking with a small talk. Get baseline behaviors of their body language and their voice and stuff like that. And then start getting into your questioning. And pay attention to when they take their first drink, what question is it synchronized to, and how they take that drink. Okay, is it a little sip? Is it a couple big gulps? It's important because we're looking for consistencies. And whatever you said to them caused an emotional response, a fight, flight, or freeze response, which shut down their digestive system, which dried out their mouth. So you know that's a sensitive topic for that person. So you should go after that and watch micro expressions. They're going to tell you so much. You also have tension. You'll see tension in the jaw. You'll see people clenching their fist, right? You'll see them sweating all at once. To be going like this. Their breathing rate will pick up. I can't tell you how many times I've been talking to people and they're talking, talking, talking. Then all at once they go, and then I went over to the house. Right there is where the lie starts, because their limbic brain has is oxygenating their body, getting ready to tell a lie. And lying is not easy. People think they're good liars, but really things have to change. Okay? And their blood pressure will go up too. So you'll see people turn really beet red, or opposite, they'll turn really white and their arms will get cold and they'll start doing this. And maybe they'll pull their arms up in their sleeves. Those are limbic responses because your limbic brain has pumped all the blood away from your extremities, including your face and your arms, and you get cold. The brain, the limbic brain pumps it into your large organs and muscles, getting ready to run or fight. Okay. All right, I apologize for this slide, but these are the 7 universal facial expressions that Dr. Paul Ekman actually moved to the jungles in New Guinea. I think he's got to be close to 90 now. He lives in the San Francisco area. He moved to the jungles in New Guinea and studied the tribes there for 3 years because they had never seen, they didn't have any contact with any other tribes. They have never seen magazines, TVs that would uh, influence these micro expressions, these facial expressions. And this is it, 7 of them. So you have happy, classic happy, eyebrows up, corners of the mouth up. Then you have sad, classic sad. Look at the tension in my forehead, eyebrows furrowed down on the outside, tension between my eyes, tension across my face, corners of the mouth down. Then we have contempt. I want you guys to pay attention to contempt. It is my number one indicator. It means social superiority. I'm proud of it. I'm above you. You're below me. Again, not deception. It's emotion. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. So I show a video in my longer trainings of a guy named Joe Mazzulla, who's the head basketball coach from the Boston Celtics. At a press conference, the reporter says, "Hey, coach, non-basketball question for you. Did you get a chance to meet the royal family after the game?" He goes, "Jesus, Mary, and Joseph?" And she goes, "No, no, no, the royal family from Wales." He goes, "No, I only know one royal family." And he's got contempt, huge contempt. It wasn't a micro expression, it was there. And what's that mean? Social superiority. I'm better than you because I answered that question and I'm proud to be a follower of Jesus. Then I show a next video, a guy named Mark Hacking. His wife was killed that morning. He's talking to the news cameras. He goes, "Well, normally she just lets me sleep in. And this morning I said I was going to get up and she said, no, sleep in. So I got up a couple hours later and I called into work to see if he starts to cry, but he's got contempt on his face. Some people call it a smirk, right? His corner of his mouth, it's asymmetrical smile. It comes up. He goes, and she didn't make it in. And he's got another contempt. 10 months later, he was convicted of killing her. But it's emotion, right? So when Joel Mazzulla did it, he was good. He was proud of that. And he should have been proud of that. When Mark Hacking did it, he shouldn't have been proud of that. And he showed proudness on his face, contempt. So here's another way to look at contempt. In the Bible, Abraham and Sarai can't conceive. So Sarai says, "Hey, I want you to go with my Egyptian servant Hagar, so she can get me a son." So he sleeps with Hagar, and Hagar becomes pregnant. And Sarai says, "She looked at me with contempt." Does that make sense to you guys? Like, look at what I can do and you can't do. So it's proud. There's social superiority. All right, enough with contempt. But remember that one, my number one indicator. Go down to the bottom on the left. It's fear. So fear looks like a deer in the headlights. It's the mouth is open wider than baseline. My eyes are open wider. The eyebrows are up higher than baseline. And it could be quick and it could be a longer one. Surprise. Everything is amplified more than fear. Let's go to disgust and anger. I put those next to each other because sometimes they get mixed up. Disgust is the face you make when you hear a bad joke or you smell poop, right? You pull the corners of your nose up. It's like, ugh. You can see the tension all across my face. And anger can look a lot of different ways. Pressed lips can be anger. Gritted teeth can be anger. Mouth open can be anger. But the eyebrows are pointed down on the inside, unlike sadness pointed down on the outside. Okay. So that's a crash course in the 7 universal facial expressions. Let's talk about words a little bit. This is a verbal statement from an insurance company. They're talking to this guy named George about a car accident that he was involved in with his truck. So the insurance company says, "What happened?" George says, "Driving down the road and the truck ended in a ditch." "Did you file a claim?" "Yes, I did." The insurance which vehicle did your claim involve? George says, my truck. So tell me what happened. Going down the road, went over the hill, and ended in the ditch. And the insurance agent goes, okay, George, I got one more question for you. Yeah. He said, where were you when this happened? And George says, oh, I was at home. Right? How did the adjuster know that? Well, it's very simple if you just look at the words. So let's start over. So what happened? Driving down the road. What's he missing right away? What did I tell you is the most important thing when it comes to language? It's pronouns. Who's driving down the road? So we know that I means I alone. We know that we means me and at least one other person. We know that they means somebody else, but not me, right? He means he was driving or she was driving. So pronouns are pretty specific on what they mean. So driving down the road and the truck ended in the ditch. The truck. It's distancing language, right? What's he missing? He's missing a pronoun. Did you file a claim? Yep. Which vehicle did it involve? My truck. So the truck turns to my truck. The truck for the accident is distancing language. My truck, it's mine. I want to get paid for it. So tell me what happened. Again, he goes going down the road. Now he's changed his language. And what causes a change of language? Emotion. He knows he's lying about this and he gets emotionally, changes his language, but he misses his pronoun again. Going down the road, went over the hill, ended in a ditch. So pronouns are very important. So this is a little pretest for you. This is Nixon, if you guys don't know. It's about a 40-second video. I want you to watch it. And we know he was lying, but how can we articulate that he was lying?
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
President?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I would ask you guys, how can you articulate to me where he was lying? And he wasn't lying about everything. Okay, remember, people that lie tell truth too. So where can we pick out the truths and the lies? First of all, I got to tell you, most of the people saw the close stance at the end where he crossed his arms. Not necessarily a close stance, not necessarily deception. If I'm talking to you and we're standing there for 5 minutes and I cross my arms and we're smiling and talking, it's just maybe easier and more comfortable to stand like that. Okay, but in this case, absolutely close stance. It was a close stance. So let's go over. There's 17 clues I want to tell you about.
And I want to.
So he starts off by pointing. Pointing is seen as a negative. He says, I want to tell this to the television. I want to tell this to the television audience. So he's ignoring everybody in the audience, but he's pointing. Pointing is seen as a negative when somebody's talking to you. If that's all you have, disregard it.
Say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes.
What do I hear? I. The pronoun I. He's connected to it. That's excellent.
But in all of.
What do you notice about him? Look at his shoulders. They're asymmetrical. Now it's hard to stand like that. Okay? In the world of behavioral analysis, it's about being synchronized and symmetrical. Synchronized and symmetrical. If you notice, the only facial expression that I showed you that was asymmetrical was contempt. And it's my number one indicator. So asymmetrical shoulders, pay attention to that. But if that's all you got, disregard it.
All of my years of public life.
Now he's doing illustrator, he's pounding. He's trying to convince us of stuff. If that's all you got, disregard it.
I have never.
Now look at his elbow. Right? His elbow's chicken winged out to the side. It should be right in front of him. It's caused by tension. Again, if that's all you got, disregard it.
I have never profited from public service.
Okay, what's wrong with that? First of all, he repeated it. And why is he repeating it? Because he wants to convince us of things. People who repeat things are trying to convince us. Not always deception, right? If I'm a teacher, I'm going to repeat things. So I want you to remember these. But did you see what he was doing with his head? He goes, I was never profited, never profited. He's shaking his head, yes. So his body language is not matching his words. This is a limbic brain response. It's the conflict between a cognitive thinking and emotional feelings, right? His cognitive thinking is like, I've never, but his emotions are, yeah, I have. He's shaking his head, yes. Watch it again.
never profited from public service. I've earned every cent.
Okay, now you can't make it any better than that, right? I've never profited, never profited. He's shaking his head yes. And then when he says, I've earned every cent, he shakes his head no. Completely opposite of what he should be doing. It's emotion. And his emotions are showing leakage.
And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice.
That's a true statement to him. Now, it might not be true, but he believes that. He finally has the appropriate head nod.
And I think, too, that I can say,
Oh boy. Did you hear that? His voice went from a 3 to a 2, and he used the word think. What's the word think mean? It means I don't know, right? I think, too, that I can say. And he looks down and away. Down and away. Universal shame. And I think, too, that I can say. I want you to pay attention to his hand right here, but I want you to watch this and use your peripheral vision to watch the movement here.
that in my years of public...
You see that? It's called a hand shrug. So if I went like this with my shoulders and I went with my hands and I went with my mouth, it's like, I don't know. So a hand shrug means, I don't know. So he doesn't have any confidence in what he's saying.
Life, that I welcome...
So now he goes from a 3 to a 2 to a 4. I welcome, and his hands go outside the presentation zone. So when people talk, they talk about the size of a basketball in front of them. When you go outside of that, I don't know how much you guys can see of me, but if you go outside like he did, like I've got it paused, that's in convince mode. He's trying to convince us, and his voice raises up.
This kind of examination, because people have got to know
Watch his head here.
whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not
Yes,
a crook.
I am.
I've
No,
earned
I haven't.
everything I've got.
Then he he crosses his hands, but more
President,
importantly, he does what's called a gestural retreat. When people are lying, they will literally push away from you. Like, I didn't do it. And that's what he did. So he backed away from the podium. So 17 clues there. All right, let's talk about the words with and we, or we and with. We is a partnership. With is distance in conflict. I'll say that again. As soon as that word we comes up, it's a partnership. The word with is distance in conflict. So how about this? We were all on the loading dock and we went into the break room where Bill tripped on the bucket. They forced me to go with him. I did not want to. So we and we, even though he says, I did not want to go, he does want to go because it was we. How should he have said it? We were all in the loading dock and I went with them into the break room where Bill tripped. I didn't want to go with them. If you notice didn't and did not is called a non-contractual lie. Studies show, and it's not 100%, but it's a good indicator, that people who lie don't use contractions. So the second one, I didn't want to go versus I did not want to. So we is a partnership. As soon as that word is said, it's a partnership. And with is distance. So with we went into the room and we started fighting. Versus, what does that mean? It means we both wanted to start fighting. Versus, we went into the room and he started fighting with me. With me, distance. Okay. We were at work and I saw the box fall and hit my friend. That's the statement, right? We were at work and I saw the box fall and hit my friend. What does this mean? What's the sentence tell us below the surface? What do the words mean? So we as a partnership were and saw, past tense, no tense change. My friend. What does that mean? Possessive pronoun. His friend. Not a friend, not the other guy. My friend. Possessive pronoun. I was working with a friend would be distance. My friend and I were working. My friend comes first. Or we were working together. Okay, to see the difference of the stuff? So there's no deception in that statement that he said. No deception. All right, so what's the only single-sided non-symmetrical facial expression that we make, and what's it mean? Remember, all these people are doing it. Look at Clinton. Clinton was asked the question about Monica Lewinsky, and this is what he did, right? He denies having any sexual contact with her, but this is what he does. So his emotions are like, yeah, I'm proud of it, and I did. Oh, no, I didn't. But it's too late. His contempt showed us. You got Anthony Weiner, who you're going to see a video of coming up. Jussie Smollett. That picture of Jussie Smollett, do you know what he just said? there's a second person kicking me in my back. Why on earth would he possibly be proud of that? There's a second person kicking me in my back. Contempt doesn't match, right? It's emotion. He's proud of it. And then you have Greta, the climate change girl. Look at what she's got. You can see the emotion on her face. She actually has two different micro expressions going on. Do you see them? Look at her eyebrows and her pressed lips. That's anger. But she has asymmetrical smile, which is contempt. So somebody walked in the room, and I know who it is, and she saw them. She's angry at that person, and she thinks she's better than them. She's telling us that with that look. So micro expressions, super important. Okay, here's Anthony Weiner. Anthony Weiner was a convicted sex offender, a New York senator in the early 2000s, I think, maybe in the 1990s. And he sent an inappropriate picture to his 19-year-old intern. He doesn't want to talk about it. He released something from his office, but now he calls this meeting at the Capitol to talk about something that he wants to talk about, not this picture. And the reporters are on him like piranhas. They don't care about anything. They just want to know about those pictures.
Just answer point blank.
Look at that face, right? Look at the tension in his face. The reporter, I don't know if you guys could hear it, says, "Congressman, can you just answer point blank?" Because he won't answer questions about the picture. But look at his eyebrows pointed down. Look at his pressed lips. Look at the tension in his face, in his jaw, in his neck. And he's leaning forward. He's in that fighting stance.
You were hacked, which is potentially a crime. So why haven't you asked the Capitol Police or any law enforcement to investigate?
Look, this was a prank that I've now been talking about for a couple of days. I'm not going to allow it to decide what I talk about for the next week or the next 2 weeks.
Look at him. I'm not going to allow to talk. He's not going to talk about it. I'm better than you. Social superiority. He has no idea he did that. It's emotion. Now listen to what he comes. There's a cluster of clues that are coming up here.
And so I'm not going to be giving anything more about that today. I think I've been pretty responsive to it.
But with respect, you're here, which we...
Did you hear what he said? You probably didn't hear what he said because his voice went so low. He said, "I think I've been pretty responsible to the media so far." As he said that, he had a single-sided shoulder shrug, asymmetrical. He had anger on his face, and he also did this with his suit coat. This is called torso blocking. So your limbic brain keeps you safe and has a vested interest in protecting your organs. So if he's feeling threatened, he literally just went up and went like that to try to cover his organs. Think about somebody being more comfortable standing in front of a podium. Okay, it's called torso blocking. I want you to watch that again. There's a cluster of clues there.
I'm not going to be giving anything more about that today. I think I've been pretty responsive to it.
But with respect, you're here, which we...
All right, so we're going to move on because we got a lot of other stuff. I want to briefly talk about connections. I've only got like 23 minutes left. Connections. Connections are words or expressions that indicate a missing link of time. They're super important because, again, people will lie by omission. So any connection which doesn't indicate a missing link of time shouldn't be considered, like at which time. So if I would say sometime later, shortly thereafter, later, how much time is that? Right? But at this time, I know exactly what time that is. So listen to this, just these words that we're going to break down. It doesn't matter what the context is when you're talking about scientific content analysis. And then I took a nap for about an hour. At 7:15, I left the house and drove to Oakton. Afterwards, I came home. I got home about 9:45. There's a wealth of information there. So let's break it down. First of all, and then, what does that tell us? It tells us that something happened before the nap. The nap is important enough to be edited in. If you don't think that something is important that somebody's telling you, you should pay double attention to it if it has nothing to do with what you asked them. If it's put in, if they take the editing portion of their brain, if they take the time to edit something in, you should pay attention to it. Even if you don't think it has anything to do with it, I guarantee you it has something to do with it. You just have to figure out what it is. So nap is important enough to be edited in. It's important. It's connected to this somehow. For about an hour. That's a connection. How much time? For about an hour. We're not really sure. At 7:15, I left. So we have an objective time. So we take that and we put it in the left margin. But he didn't say, I left at 7:15. He said, at 7:15, I left. So it's more important. The time is more important than when he left. And the word left is an important word. The word left means pressure for time, 70% of the time, and 30% of the time, it's very sensitive. So the word left is sensitive. So it tells us here that after he took this nap, and the nap is important, we don't know how much time he took the nap. At 7:15, it's important that he told us that time. He was in a hurry to leave, or something happened. It's sensitive. The house, not my house. I left the house. So maybe it is his house and he called it the house, or maybe it was somebody else's house. We don't know that, but we're going to note it. Missing pronoun. Afterwards. How much time is afterwards? We don't know, right? That's a connection. That is where he's hiding information. I came home. I got home. It's called doubling the activity. I got up at 7 o'clock. Once I got up, or after I got up, I took a shower. I double that activity. This is what you need to know about doubling the activity. When you double the activity, they're going to lie to you 99.9% of the time. So listen for them doubling the activity. I got home at 9 o'clock. When I got home, I watched TV. Doubling the activity, they are going to lie to you 99.9% of the time. Okay. So the word afterwards covers from 7:15 to 9:45. 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's where you have to ask your questions. Focus your questions on that part right there. Okay, this is a case where a airline pilot said he hurt his shoulder reaching in the cockpit to grab his bag.
After the flight, I was putting all my paperwork into my briefcase. I was interrupted by a stewardess as a passenger had a question. I returned to the cockpit and reached for the briefcase. Heard a pop? That's about it.
All right, lots of clues for us there. The connection before the injury, right? After the flight. How much time after the flight? We don't know. That's showing a missing link of time. My briefcase before the injury. Did you catch it? And the briefcase after the injury. I reached in the top line, putting paperwork in my briefcase. I was interrupted by a stewardess, passenger. I returned to the cockpit. The last line, reach for the briefcase. Changing pronouns. He's distancing himself from the briefcase in the injury. Repeated pronouns, I. Sensitive. There's actually a chart that shows how sensitive things are depending on how many times you repeat pronouns. I don't know, my car was over there. Okay, so repeating pronouns. Missing pronouns 2 times, right? To the cockpit and reached. Who reached? And heard a pop. Who heard a pop? So he's missing 2 pronouns. And then heard a pop? Did you hear the question inflection? And then at the end, that's about it. That's called the rule of 3. People will end their sentences in 3 words, right? Or they'll say the same word 3 times. Barely, barely, barely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Fighting, fighting, fighting. So I know this is a lot of stuff for you guys to absorb, but I just want to introduce it to you. All right, we're going to skip that slide. This is about an arson.
What did I do? I got up at 6. I showered and ate breakfast. I left my house and went to school. And when school was done, I came back to my house. This was about 3 o'clock. Did some homework and ate. After eating, I put some workout clothes on and I left the house about 6 p.m. Maybe around 7 o'clock, I got a call that there was a fire in the house.
Okay, lots of clues for us. I'm bombarding you guys. Here we go. So let's look at the I's that are in green. I got up, I showered, I left. Remember, the word left is important. I came back, middle line, 3 o'clock, did some homework. Who did some homework? He's missing the I. And ate. After that, after eating, I put some workout clothes on and left the house around 6 p.m., maybe around 7 o'clock, got a call, missing the I again. So we're missing some pronouns there. Okay. Question inflection when it says did some homework and ate. I don't know if you guys caught that. The which is changing to flow. Where is that? That's right in the middle. right? 3 o'clock, I did some homework and ate. After eating, after is my connection. How much time? The fact that he has the change of flow, and he has a connection tells me that he's hiding information there. He is hiding information. It's like I walked in the kitchen. I went over by the refrigerator after after eating. Okay, so he's taking something out there. 8, after eating, he's doubling activity. Remember, when they double activity, 99.9% of the time they're going to lie to you. Okay, he goes, I got home, and 8, after eating, that's the doubling the activity. Remember, the word left is important. It's a 70% pressured for time, 30% sensitivity. So did you guys catch the pronoun changes? My house, the house. My house in the first line, my house in the second line, and the house in the fourth line, right after left. Did you catch the change of languages? He got up at 6, at 3 o'clock, at 6 p.m., at 7 o'clock. He's changing his language. And what's caused the change of language? Emotion. So it's very emotional for him. He lowers his voice, was a fire at the house. I hope you guys caught that. The activity between the two lefts in blue, that is where you need to focus your attention. That is where he started the fire. And what's right in the middle of those two lefts? After eating. So you have the change of flow, you have the repeating the activity, and you have the connection. Right there is where he started the fire. I don't know if you can see my pointer here. I did some homework and 8. Right in here is where he started the fire, because everything is there. We have 3 clues right there. All right, let's talk about some LY words. So LY words are words that end in LY. They're there to amplify stuff, like honestly, truthfully, absolutely, certainly, hopefully, totally, really. Just because people use LY words doesn't mean it's deception, but we look for an increase of them. We also look for minimizing LY words like barely, hardly, only, probably. They're used to distance and minimize. How about the word actually? What does that mean? You're going to see a video of Prince Andrew coming up, comparing two things in your mind. Like, this is my first accident I've ever had. Actually, it's my second. Okay, so you're comparing two things. I actually like this table better than that one. And probably, it means they're not sure. I mean, the damage probably happened to my car in the parking lot where I parked the vehicle. Did you catch the word change? To my car, and then I changed it to vehicle. Change of language. Likely, it's likely that somebody broke the window in the car last night. They're just not sure. It's LY words. Basically is my favorite, right? Did you give that person permission to drive your car? Well, they're basically like my brother. They're like my brother, so I basically did. Or I could say to you, hey, I'm basically 200 pounds. What's it mean? I'm not, right? I'm close, but I'm not 200 pounds. Okay. Let's talk briefly. We've got we got less than 15 minutes. I'm going to do
Bruce.
pronouns because I'm sorry?
Bruce, I just want to take a minute. I remind everybody, now's the time. If you got questions, put it in the chat. We'll try to make sure that they get addressed.
Okay. All right. So
What happened today? Well, got up, showered, got dressed, ate, and then drove to work. When I got to work, we met in the break room for some coffee. Later, I went to my desk and noticed that the money was missing from the desk.
all right. So lots of clues for us there. They repeated the question. Why do people repeat the question? Why does Miss America repeat the question? Right? She wants to think about things that she has to say. When you ask a question in an interview and they repeat the question, that's a huge red flag for you, because they can't just tell you the truth. They have to think about what they can say and what they can't say, and what they told you the last time or they told somebody else. So missing I several times in the first sentence. Missing pronouns. They're not connected. The I, we changes. I tell law enforcement about pronouns. Concentrate on the I, we changes. We went over to the house at 5 o'clock. We went into the car, right? Because they know it's I, but they want it to be we. So they changed I to we. So please pay attention to the I, we's. The first one that comes out is I mean we, because they know it was I, but I want it to be we. Later, there's my connection. Okay, later, missing link of time or missing information. So my desk to the desk gets changed, distancing language. So let me ask you guys this. If I would say to you, we're having lunch or something, I go, tell me who's in your family. What would you say to me? Just think about it. You probably should have it already. The first person that you listed is the most important person in your life. If you gave me your kids' names, you gave them to me in chronological order from oldest to youngest. It's called order of appearance. So when you talk to someone and you ask them a question, never tell them where to start. Just say, tell me what happened. And do not say, can you tell me what happened? With a question mark. Because psychologically, they think he doesn't know or she doesn't know. And they're more likely to lie. So you say, tell me what happened. They're going to start at the most important part to them, where that incident started for them. And you'll be shocked of where they start. They may start weeks ahead of time. I have a statement from a sexual assault where the sexual assault happened at 1:30 in the morning. The statement started at 3:30 in the afternoon. And why? Because to them, that's where the incident started. It all starts there. So don't tell somebody, hey, when you got to your house, what happened? Just say, tell me what happened. All right. So we're going to skip this because we're running out of time and I want to get to, I got 10 minutes. I want to do some videos. Pronouns. We talked about pronouns, the changing of the pronouns, the importance of pronouns and of I so that they're connected. We're going to, oh yeah, let's hear this one.
I'm
Tell
an
me what you hear.
advocate.
Oh, hang on.
I've fought for love.
This was a famous person that was in a lot of trouble trying to talk their way out of something. And this is what they said. Listen to this. Oh, shoot. I don't want you to read it. Okay, here we go.
I'm an advocate. I've fought for love. I respect too much the people, who I'm now one of, who've been victimized in any way. You do yourself such a disservice when you lie about things like this.
Did you guys catch the pronoun changes? I am an advocate. I have fought for love. I respect too much to people who I am now one of who have been victimized in any way. You do yourself such a disservice when you lie about something like this. It's totally flipping it, right? It's emotion. So he doesn't want to take credit for lying. So you do yourself such a disservice when you lie. All right, let's talk about Clinton here. This is a famous Monica Lewinsky one. Now we know he's lying, but how can we articulate it?
Now, I have to go back to work on my State of the Union speech, and I worked on it till pretty late last night. But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
All right, so let's quickly go back over that. So we pay attention for consistencies and inconsistencies.
Now, I have to go back to work on my State of the Union speech.
See his contempt there? I stopped it just a second too late. He had contempt. You can see the tension in his side of his mouth here. Is that okay? Now I have to go back to work to my State of the Union speech. Is that okay to be proud of? Yes, it's not deception. It's emotion. He gives us 5 qualifying statements before he denies anything. 5 reasons you should believe him before he starts talking. And that was first. Now I got to go back to work on my State of the Union speech.
And I worked on it till pretty late
2.
last night. But I want to say
3. Now watch. I want you to pay attention to his shoulder here. He has an asymmetrical shoulder shrug, which means he has no confidence in what he just said. It's called the single-sided shoulder shrug.
But I want to say one thing.
You see it?
Last night. But I want to say.
You see it? Very important. That's my number 2 indicator, by the way.
One thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again.
All right. So his shoulders are symmetrical the whole while. Now he's got 5 qualifying statements. Now he's going to start telling the lie. Watch what happens. His shoulders go asymmetrical, just like Nixon's did. He drops his shoulder. I want you to pay attention to his head nod. He slightly shakes his head nod when he says, I did not, right? Non-contractual lie. I did not have sexual relationship with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. He's slightly shaking his head, yes. Asymmetrical shoulders.
I did
And his fingers crooked.
not have sexual relations with that woman.
Then he goes real
Miss
big,
Lewinsky.
yes.
I never told anybody to lie.
That's a true statement for him. He has the appropriate head nod. I never told anybody to lie.
Not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to.
So now he gives us more qualifying statements at the end. So
Now,
there's a lot there. You can see his shoulders that had dropped there. Let's talk about those words. I did not have sexual relationships with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. So he starts off with I, he's connected to it. Did not, non-contractual lie. Have sexual relationships with, what's the word with mean? Distance. That woman. He labels her that woman, which is very derogatory, but what's that mean? What's the word that mean? What's the difference between this and that? Right? This desk, that desk. It's distance. It's distancing language. And he says, Miss Lewinsky. Now, this is classic distancing language. What's the first word? I. What's the last word? Lewinsky. That's classic distancing language. And I know you're like, Bruce, people don't think about the structure of their sentence before they talk. And you're right, they don't. It's in our DNA. All right. Smollett, Jesse Smollett.
Intersection, I heard Empire. And I don't answer to Empire. My name ain't Empire. And I didn't answer. I kept walking, and then I heard Empire. So I turned around and I said, the did you just say to me? And I see the attacker masked. And he said, this MAGA country punches me right in the face. So I punched his ass back. And then we started tussling. You know, it was very icy.
Watch his
and
eyes.
We ended up tussling by the stairs. Fighting. There was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And
there's that contempt smile when he says second person kicking me in my back. Did you pay attention to his eyes? He was looking at her the whole while until he started to lie about the fight. He looked down and away. His blink rate picked up. 13 blinks in 6 seconds. It's called eye blocking. Let's talk about his words. So he inappropriate humor at the beginning. I don't answer to Empire, laughs. That's not my name. Then he has contempt afterwards. Then he goes, I see the attacker. What's wrong with that? It's present tense. He's been telling a past tense story the whole time. I turn and I see the attacker. So think about this. You're walking across the street and 2 guys come up behind you wearing ski masks and yell at you. What are you going to tell the police? I was walking, and I heard something behind me, past tense heard. I turned around and I saw 2 guys wearing ski masks. And he says, I see the attacker. Present tense. It didn't happen. Masked, he says. Okay. Then he says, punches me right in the face. Present tense. Here's the money ball. We started tussling. Who did? We. What is we? It's a partnership. Tussling, if I'm getting my butt handed to me by 2 guys, we're not tussling, right? But we started tussling. You know, it was very icy, and we started tussling. He's repeating the activity. They're going to lie to you 99.9% of the time. We started tussling by the stairs. Now he's labeled the stairs as significant. When there is a exact location mentioned, there's a 90% chance of conflict. Like, I was standing right in front of the room, right next to the front desk when the guy came up to me, versus I was standing in front of the room. Okay, so now he's labeled the stairs as significant. So he goes, we were tussling, we started tussling by the stairs, fighting. Now he's turned tussling into fighting. That's the rule of 3. This entire time, he had no eye contact with her, looking down and away, and 13 blinks in 6 seconds. And then he says, the second person kicking me in my back, and he's got contempt. So he's proud of it. So I'm going to show you the holy grail of microexpressions. This is Smollett again. Robin Roberts says, do you think there's a link between the letter and the attack? So Smollett wrote this letter and sent it to his TV station. It's a hateful, anti-gay hate letter. And he wrote it. But when she asked that question, watch what happens. It's a short video.
Tylenol. Do you think there's a link between the letter and the attack? And you did mention it to the police right away about the letter.
Absolutely.
And another contempt. So let me see if I got it in slow motion. Here it is. I zoomed it in slow motion. He has contempt and 2 smiles. Why is he smiling? Because he knows he wrote it. And he's got contempt because he's proud that he wrote it. Was there a link between the letter and attack? He goes, watch contempt come up right there. Contempt, one side. And now both sides are going to come up and come back down. And they're both going to go up again. And it gets cut off. So 3 micro expressions in less than a second. All right. So we've got 2 minutes. Were there any questions?
Yeah, we do have
down?
a couple. We do have a couple.
Okay. So let me
Um,
get, I mean, let me do this one really quick, and then we'll take the questions, and then we'll end it with that. So this is Prince Andrew. I've got so many good videos. Prince Andrew. This lady says, Prince Andrew says, I broke up with Epstein. When I found out what kind of guy he was, I stopped having contact with him. And she's going to say, this breakup, why didn't you publicly go out with this breakup? Were you afraid that he had something to compromise you with? Watch what he does.
This breakup, when you got back, why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done?
This is called eye blocking, right? Look at how tense his forehead is and his eyebrows are down. That's negativity. He's trying to block out the negative things that she's talking about. I want you to pay attention to his tongue. He's going to have a tongue jut. It's going to stick out.
Did you worry that he had?
Did you see it? What that means is he doesn't like the taste in his mouth of what he said or what somebody else said. It's not licking his lips. He didn't lick his lips. His tongue jutted out and came back.
Something that could compromise you?
No.
Do you regret that trip?
Yes.
So he says no. His voice goes down to a 2. And his eye blinking picks up. His blink rate picks up. I hope you guys saw. I'll show you again. His blink rate picks up. Again, it's eye blocking. Most of the interview, he's not like this until there's a touchy topic for him.
No.
See his blink rate pick up?
That trip?
Yes.
And you hear the different tone and you heard the volume change. Okay. So, this is really good too. Can I show one more? And then we'll take questions. This is quick. This is Obama. Obama just won the election from McCain. And they don't like each other at this point. Well documented, Obama and McCain do not like each other at this point. They made up later in life. But Obama's got to get up there and say the politically correct thing.
Now, Senator McCain has served this country honorably. And at the end of this long race, I want to congratulate him on the tough race that he has fought. He has...
Okay, no deception there, complete emotion. So let's talk about what happened and why it happened. First of all, he goes, now, and he touches his face. It's a pacifier. He's having a limbic response because he doesn't like McCain. He's got to say something nice about him, and he doesn't like it. He wants to run or fight, but he can't, so he touches his face. Now, then he repeats it. Now, Senator McCain has served his country honorably, and at the end of the day, I want to thank him for the tough race that he's fought. Did you guys see the tongue jut come out? He doesn't like that. But then his flow changes. For the next 7 seconds, all he says is, and he touches his face, pacifier, touches his face, pacifier, and then comes up, and it's called a gestural slip. It's true emotion of what he feels about McCain. Let me watch it one more time, and then we'll be done.
Now, Senator McCain has served this country honorably. And at the end of this long race, I want to congratulate him on the tough race that he has fought. He has...
Okay, so we're going to skip through all this stuff here, and I want to get to the last slide. Lance Armstrong. Oh, I think it would have been better off going like this. Okay. I'm going to show you this one too. This is how we tell our story with all our knowledge. Very short video. This soccer player just won some award.
Thank you very much, and I thank Almighty God who is above. I always wish to win one of these, and I got it. So thank you very much for this, for giving me this. And I appreciate my fans also. My wife and my girlfriend. My wife. Yeah, sorry to say. I'm so sorry, my wife. Listen, I love you so much.
Okay, we're going to stop it there. So we always tell our story with all our knowledge. We can't unknow what we don't want other people to know. So again, it's Leaking the Truth. My website is leakingthetruth.com. You can reach me at my email, bruce@leakingthetruth.com. You can go to YouTube channel. I've got some videos on there, some short videos, some longer podcasts. I do training all over the country. So if you're interested in training, email me and I can let you know where the trainings are. All right, I'm ready for questions.
Okay, wow, Bruce. I am going to show this to everybody I know, I think. I'm going to just make them sit down and watch it. Um, so the first question we have is, so in that moment he said that woman, speaking of the Clinton video, did he in that moment realize that he goofed and then he spontaneously added Ms. Lewinsky? Do you think that's what happened?
No, and people are like, well, this guy is a polished professional speaker, right? I'm sure he's got people working for him that helps him do this stuff and comes up with this stuff. Well, that could be true, but these are limbic brain responses. It's emotion. So you can't control these things. I have micro expressions, right? I have body gestures that I feel, and I feel them, and I know what they are, but other people just don't pick them up. So I don't think he messed up. I think he's just rolling with it, right? I did not have sexual relationships with that woman, and I think he added Miss Lewinsky. I don't think he knew he screwed up. Good
Okay,
question.
that kind of goes to the other question, which was actually from me. Just how do you differentiate between the times when somebody is sort of unconsciously reflecting what is true and it's coming out in their language versus they're trying to tell you what they want to be true and they're doing a little more consciously?
So the clues are going to be the same, right? Just like somebody coming up and scaring you, you don't want to do it, but you can't stop it. Now, I could fake micro expressions, I could fake body gestures, but I can't stop them. So any clues that people give you, you should pay attention to, whether it's their verbiage, whether it's micro expressions, or whether it's their voice, whether it's the physical things, the body gestures. There's no difference between this is the truth and this is what I'm leaving out. Because most of the people will lie by omission. They'll tell you the truth and they'll omit the things that they don't want you to know. So they're going to have clues when they omit it because lying is not easy. We always have all our knowledge in our head. So I have to skip over that. And then when they'll start talking and um, and then they'll start the story again, right? You know that they almost said something they're not supposed to be saying.
Yeah. Any last? We have, geez, Bruce, personally, when you go out to dinner with friends, are you analyzing their conversational clues or can you abandon all that in a social setting?
It's a good question. You can never turn it off. I'm sure that everybody's listening to this will notice things that I would never notice about whatever they do, right? Maybe they like cars or motorcycles or boats or they're into whatever. And you guys would notice things that I wouldn't know. When you start doing this and you just start picking up the little things, you'll start getting excited about it. Like, I saw that. And like I said, just start with contempt. So I'll tell you my top five: contempt, single-sided shoulder shrug, inappropriate head nod. Those are my top three. And then it's pronouns, I, we changes. And then it's oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the fifth one. Anyway, but just start off with one or two. And you'll get excited when you see it. I guarantee you, if you watch people, you're going to see contempt. Some people call it a smirk. You're going to see contempt on people's faces at least 6 times a day if you pay attention to them. So when I go out in a social, atmosphere, I mean, I can't turn it off, but I don't call people out on it. My buddy's like, hey, last year I did $3 million worth of business. He had contempt. Of course, I told it to him afterwards. The same guy, we're at this festival, and he walks up. I know you guys can't really see this, but he walks up. Him and I are there. We're going to go get something to eat. So he walks up to this table, and the table, his shoulders are running parallel with the table, and so he's not turned and facing the table, and he's looking at stuff over his left shoulder, and he looks at me. He goes, "What do you think?" I go, "Bob, you made up your mind already." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Look at your feet and your shoulders. Nothing here interests you because you didn't turn towards it." He goes, "Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me." So then we go to the next booth. He gets up there, he turns his feet and his shoulders to there, and he's looking and he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna have a burger here." Like, okay. So people are constantly telling us stuff. So in a social atmosphere, I don't call people out on it, but it's just once you do it and you really get into it, you'll get excited about it. And you'll start picking up things. I mean, you go to buy a new car. ask the salesperson, is this my best deal? And they're going to tell you whether it's your best deal or their best deal, not with their words, because you know they're going to say, yes, it's your best deal. But their body language is going to tell something else because it's a conflict between our emotional feelings and our cognitive thinking.
I can hardly wait to start applying this. It's going to be fun. Bruce, would you mind? We had a request to have the slideshow emailed. Would you mind if somebody is interested in having the slideshow? Are you willing to share it?
I'd rather not share that because this is a free webinar I'm giving you guys, and this is my business, and this is how I make money. I'm going to have to say no, unfortunately.
Perfectly fine. If someone has questions following up with you at your Bruce,
yep, they can email me, and I will have a conversation with them. Yep, and
awesome.
maybe they can make some training. I have trained in Idaho, but it was at Idaho Falls at the police department.
Oh, we'd
but
love
I'm always
to
willing to come out,
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. If you do want to go back and re-watch this presentation, it will be up on our education page, along with the rest of our video library, which I encourage you to check out, folks, if you have not been there already. We have some really good presenters, and this has been top tier. So
appreciate that.
Bruce, yeah, thank you so much. I think we are at time. I think everyone's just saying thank you from here on out. Many thanks to you. You can find Bruce at the email on the screen, so make sure you take that down.
Yep. It's all Leaking the Truth. Bruce at leakingthetruth.com is my email. Leakingthetruth.com is my website, and YouTube channel, Leaking the Truth.
All right, Bruce. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you.